And we are doing a special BM show tonight, a packed house for this.
It's
with
a
Ben
packed.
also.
It's a packed BM.
It's a packed BM. So
what happens when you have too much cheese?
Or when you get a whole bunch of bananas and they're not ripe anymore.
Oh dear.
So there's a couple things I want to mention before we start here, because I know one of us is limited on time, so I just want to get everything out. Couple topic ideas that are coming up that you'll all be invited to if you'd like. One I was thinking was No Way This Should Be Good, which are games that you thought were going to be so-so that turned out to be exceptional.
Okay.
Another one coming up is basically talking about your feelings on collections, remasters, remakes, re-releases, things like that. Just kind of discussing, how you feel overall on them.
Like the Sonic Mega Collection.
Exactly.
I feel like this was just the setup for the stuff that I really want to talk about. I see. Okay.
There we go. So another thing is next week, Ben. I think what we'll do is we'll do another Watch Us Die for the Unloved game. Sound good to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if any of you got Unloved and you want to join in, just let us know.
What is Unloved?
Unloved. I sent it out last week. It was free last week. It's now like $5. It's a little first-person shooter.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad I grabbed it.
Yeah. Also, I do have a mix and mic decks, but I'm going to move that to the end of the show. So, because I know some of you probably have to go to sleep for work tomorrow. For that, I'm going to be tackling a very big series, and many of them, which is going to be, you probably heard of it, Final Fantasy. I've got a whole bunch of them. Final Fantasy 1, I've got early grinding, 4 mid grinding, 9 late grinding, 2 stat grinding, 6 item grinding for one of the best relics in the game.
Jeez, this sounds like a grind.
7 materia grinding, 10 I'm going to just blow the lid on and just go bonkers crazy on how to make your party just indestructible through the whole freaking game. But the one I'm going to talk about after we're done with our topic here is actually going to fit into our topic, which is I'm going to discuss job grinding on Final Fantasy V. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into the topic so you guys have as much time as possible. This show, we do have a whole bunch of guests. The Demon Slayer is back.
Hey!
Tron is back.
How y'all doing?
Dr. G makes his return, which I know a lot of you probably think that Dr. G and Matt sound exactly the same, but unfortunately, they're not. Matt, after the 200th episode, I believe was, Ben, Matt actually completed his dream of making Matthew's arc and fired himself into space. So he is no longer here, not in the way that Barrett's not here. So if we can just have a moment of silence for Barrett. And okay, so Matt
is the world of the BM show.
Matt is we don't know where he is except for I got a transmission from him recently. He's orbiting a planet called SR388 right now.
Oh dear.
And he took a couple VIP guests with him. Word is Matt is going to be a daddy. And when I asked him who the lucky lady was, he said he couldn't tell me because it's too complicated to explain in human tongue. So I asked him, what about the kids, boy or girl? He said that's complicated as well, too. But hopefully someday Matt will be back. Until then, we got Dr. G. And we have a new guest here. This guy goes by the name The Private. And he's very quiet.
I'm looking forward to my impending death.
Exactly. So.
Okay. Well, I know we started with sunshine and rainbows.
Well, so let's go ahead and hop into the topic tonight, which is called "You Were Good, but Your Brother Was Better," which are games that are really good, but are overshadowed or forgotten about due to other games in the series that are just known to be exceptional. Whether it's true they're exceptional or not, whatever, they're just known to be the popular big name ones. And for me, what really gave me the idea for this topic was, I think you all have an idea what's going on with my father-in-law. So last weekend, I was in the ER waiting for him to come out with Maria, and I was just kind of bored, so I brought my Retroid Pocket, and I turned that on, and all of a sudden a game popped in my head to play that I hadn't played in years. And right as I got into it, I was like, dude, this is still a super exceptional game, but you never really hear about it. When you hear the Castlevania series, you think of like Symphony of the Night, Rondo of Blood, Aria of Sorrow, and Dawn of Sorrow, Castlevania 3, but you don't hear much about Super Castlevania 4. And that's, even to this day, that game definitely still holds up and looks great and brings in a lot of things that the series did well with, like the multi-directional whipping, the swinging, okay, Ben, let me specify swinging. Swinging using the.
I mean, I thought the multi-directional whipping was what really merited, mention, but whatever.
Oh, so Simon Belmont in this game, he's married, but he still can go and be with multiple women. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So yeah. So I mean, have you guys played it? Do you guys have any opinions on it?
So actually, I'm not really. So I'm gonna get this out quick because I don't really have much to add here. Because actually, I'm just a big Symphony of the Night guy, and other than Castlevania 64, that's the only one Well, actually, I do have Rondo of Blood. But I've missed a lot of the like original Castlevania. So like honestly, Symphony of the Night, for me, I mean, I am the problem here. Because Symphony of the Night is just one of the greatest games ever. And also the Castlevania anime is actually pretty fire too. And that's really all I have to add to this conversation.
It's interesting you should mention that because I don't know if you guys know, but Epic Games is doing this week. They're going to be giving away the Castlevania Anniversary Collection.
Oh, nice.
Which may have, I believe it does have Super Castlevania 4 on it.
Yeah, it has Super Castlevania 4 on it, and it has the Japanese version of Castlevania 3 with the better music.
Yeah.
So they'll be available on Thursday. So after that date, you will have no excuse to not play them.
I guess I'll give it a go. I mean, shoot, why not? I mean, I think I played because Castlevania 64. I mean, like I wanted to like it, but it was just too limited. And I think that may just be like the slight, I think generational thing, because I think a lot of the earlier because I played some of the Castlevania games, and I think just some of the options were a little bit limiting as far as stuff like that. But again, I haven't really played. But then, I don't know. It's weird because some games because I guess with some of those old like Nintendo games, or even the stuff the limitations were actually what kind of made it fun, because you had to really work with what you had. So
yeah.
And again, since I don't really have the experience with a lot of the Castlevania types, like I said, when I think of Castlevania, I think of Symphony of the Night. So that just that changed my life anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I played Symphony of the Night really late compared to most people. I played it a couple of years ago and absolutely loved it. And that was after I played Metroid for the first time, really later too. Like that, I played maybe 10 years ago. I played all the Metroid games.
Now, actually, sorry, don't let me overstate it, but no, because actually the original Metroid I played, and I think that game, that's another game that changed my life, and I really loved Super Metroid, and I played that. But the original Metroid, I think that's a game that I would argue still holds up. I mean,
yeah,
I think,
I didn't play the Nintendo version. I played when they did the re-release for the Game Boy, but because of the maps and everything is really nice. Super Castlevania though, Super Castlevania 4, to me is when I had Genesis, I didn't have Super Nintendo, but that was one of those games that I really wanted a Super Nintendo for. because I thought it really showed like these cool capabilities, like the fact that you could whip it all 4 directions, while the Genesis version was more like just a really nice looking Nintendo Castlevania game. And it was Castlevania like a whole nother level, and it's like Genesis didn't have that, and it didn't have the ability to do like the mode 7 where they can rotate the castle around and all that fun stuff. And it was like, so it was like it was one of the games that as a Sega player I was envious of that Nintendo had that I did not have.
But you Nintendo don't.
Yeah,
whatever.
Nintendo did this one.
Well, Sega does. Yeah, Nintendo don't.
It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad because the next Castlevania on Super NES was Dracula X, which was the Super NES version of Rondo of Blood. Took it back to where you didn't have the multi-directional whipping.
Actually, I take that back. I did play. I played Rondo of Blood because of some collection thing. I think I got it for like Game Boy Advance. I actually enjoyed that. Rondo of Blood was good, so I can't actually say that.
You might be thinking of maybe like Circle of the Moon, because Rondo of Blood was on.
No, I am thinking of Circle of the Moon. You are correct, but I have played because I think it was tied in with something else or something like that. I know I played Rondo of Blood, but you are correct. I am thinking of Circle of the Moon.
Okay, gotcha.
Rondo of Blood was on the PSP. That released for that.
That's what it is, because I got it for PSP too. Yes, so that's what it is. That's.
Well, it was original PCE.
Yeah,
and it's got a very different feel when it gets to the PlayStation Portable.
Okay, well,
like an extremely different feel. Like it's like just totally like slogged down on
really?
the PSP. Yeah.
The portable Sony systems don't get a lot of love.
Yeah.
Like everybody's talking about like, oh, I can play my Game Boy games through the Switch expansion pack or whatever. Like, there's no Sony version of that where Sony's like, oh, come play the old PSP games, or like of course a lot of them have been ported multiple times.
I was a big fan of the Vita. Actually, back in the PS4 times, I was actually freaking in Japan, and I was remoting back to my PS4.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Vita. So
I had a Vita for like the one Uncharted game. Yeah. And once I beat that Uncharted game, I'm like, okay, I could sell this thing.
I hated playing those kind of games on a portable system. I think the screen's all wrong for it.
I was just like, I was so into Uncharted games, and I just happened to be in Germany for like a couple of weeks. So I was like, it was just perfect. I'm like, oh, I can buy. I actually literally went out to buy a Vita, buy Uncharted, to take it with me for this vacation, so I could sell it off as soon as I got home.
I think I agree with that sentiment on the portable stuff, but I always put up with it because because for example, like the Switch, like I love the Switch because like I'm playing Unicorn Overlord right now, and like it's nice because I can play it on my big screen. But if I'm traveling or if I'm moving or something like that, it's nice to be able to kind of continue it. So it's kind of like I'll never remember. I remember I was playing Link for the Past for Super Nintendo, and I had to go on this actually I had to go on a chess club trip actually. So I'm playing it till because we had to went to Florida. That's a whole nother story. But I'm playing it, and I remember I finally got to the Dark World, and it was like 3 a.m. But then I had to leave because we had to go. So I always like the screen. Always it is kind of a sucky experience, but just the ability to be able to kind of transition seamlessly is why I always kind of have a soft spot for portable stuff.
All right, so we should probably move on with the topic. So does anyone else have any games that they want to throw out there? Actually, I want to give Dr. G a chance because I know that he has limited time.
Yeah. I've been working nonstop, literally, until I fall asleep. So one thing that crossed my mind was, at the time, the only game that I liked in the series was Resident Evil Survivor.
You know what? That's a good choice, actually, because that game gets crapped on, and it's actually not a bad game at all.
I like Survivor.
It's just
not Survivor. I'm thinking about another one. Never mind. Go on.
It's just not what you expect from Resident Evil because you're not limited on ammunition. It's just this kind of weird first-person shooter style on PlayStation.
That's okay. Yeah, I got it confused with another one.
Okay, I actually just now properly understood the context of the question with that example now.
It feels different. Like they took a House of the Dead game, and they just put like Resident Evil,
Yeah.
sprites in there or something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Because most of the time, it's the other way where it's like the sequel, like, or the prequel or whatever. I'm trying to think about, what's one that I actually liked that didn't get any. Oh, that's interesting. I got to think about that now.
Anyone else got anything to throw out?
Oh,
Sure.
I do.
All right,
Okay. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of things, but here's I'm gonna bust out one to begin with because I feel like y'all probably don't think much about strategy games. I know these days people in general don't talk about strategy games much, but there is a series of games. The first one was called Total Annihilation.
Oh,
It came out in the golden age, in the early days of like Warcraft and Starcraft and Command and Conquer, Red Alert, and those days, right? And it was infinitely better than all those games. Those games are trash. This game was actually good. And then later they came out with the sequel, a Supreme Commander, and then a bunch of add-ons for that and stuff. And granted, those are better games, right? They took advantage of modern technology, newer ideas in game design and whatnot, and so they made a better game. So no one ever thinks about the original Total Annihilation. But it is a very good game. And one of the things that's really cool that gives it a lot of lasting power, like you can still enjoy it today, is that the modding is so good. The game comes with the modding tool. Like it actually comes with a primitive, but still like a 3D drawing tool. So you could actually make 3D objects, and then you can easily put them in the game. So you can make your own mods. And because of that, like people made millions of mods for this game. Like you could do any damn thing you want in it. It's really cool.
And a lot of penis mods, probably.
Yeah, a college roommate of mine was super into Total Annihilation. I think I even own it, but it was. I mean, just by reputation alone, it's fantastic. I never really got super into it, but yeah, Total Annihilation is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it was the first strategy game that was a realistic, like an actual proper strategy game. Because those other games, and I granted, I played them back in the day. I played Command and Conquer, and and I have fun with it. But they're bum rush games. It's just if you bum rush and you got one more in tank than the other guy, you're gonna win, right? Whereas this was the first game where you actually had to worry about like ballistic arcs, and you could hide behind terrain because it was actually all 3D modeled, and it had a pretty good physics engine for the time. And so you couldn't just hit any old thing, right? And, having the high ground actually made sense. And, you could do all these like crazy tactics, and you could also assign like rules to units. Like you could say like, hey, look, don't engage the enemy unless they engage you first. Or like you could tell some units to back up other units. Like you could move your tanks forward and then give conditional commands to your air support and be like, look, air support, only take off if this and this and this happens or whatever, right? And then you don't have to babysit all your units. Because that was the thing that was pissing me off about the other strategy games, was that you literally had to micromanage every single individual little unit. You couldn't just focus on your grand strategy. You had to babysit them. Whereas here, this was the first game where you didn't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, actually, because I remember when I first got introduced to StarCraft, and I figured out that APM was a thing that people talked about. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's on PC, right?
Yeah.
Is that still available? Like, could you get it through Steam or any other?
Yeah, it's on. I bought it through GOG actually. Yeah, so it's.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah, actually, I really got to sit down and just learn how to play the freaking game, because I remember I was watching one of my roommates play Total Annihilation, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And this is back whenever I was in college. But he because I just remember the map being good, and he had some large gun that was just doing work on the other side of the map, and I'm like, goodness, yeah. So I'll always have that picture in my head about Total Annihilation.
All right, so I want to jump in because I want to throw one more out, especially before we lose Dr. G. Because he may have something to say about this one. So if I was to basically let's start with the 3D fighters. Like if you think of Tekken or Dead or Alive or things like that. To me, it always feels like when a sequel comes out, the last one really is kind of irrelevant because they seem to play the same enough to where you just hop into the next one and it just expands on it a bit more. But there's one series that there was a big difference. Soul Calibur.
Blade. Yeah.
Bingo. Soul Calibur. There's a point now where if I sat down and talked about like the Soul Calibur series, there's only 2 games I'd play out of it. Soul Calibur 6 because that's the most recent, but then there's Soul Blade, which was, or Soul Edge, you may know it as.
Yeah.
Which was all before the Soul Caliburs, which is the same but different. And it feels a lot more advanced. And I think Soul Calibur has really kind of simplified the way that the action works, but made it to where you can move around the ring a lot easier. But for some reason, it's like Soul Blade just disappeared off the radar completely.
Honestly, for me, it's Soul Calibur 2, actually, if I think about that. And I mean, maybe that's just rose-colored glasses, but Soul Calibur 2 was the one for me. Because, like, Soul Calibur now, I mean, it's still Soul Calibur, so it's fine. But Soul Calibur 2 was, like, old enough, but still, because, like, complicated enough, but still, like, enough to where I could still play it. Yeah, Soul Calibur 2. And then, yeah, and then back when you had, like, the console-exclusive characters and all that stuff.
Which way did you go, though, with the console exclusive? Or did you get all 3?
Why you gotta talk like you know me? No. I actually went with the GameCube, so I had Link. I was reckoning with Link in it.
Yes, good choice. I went the GameCube as well too.
Yeah.
I was actually gonna bring up Soul Edge.
Yeah, well, because actually going back to that though, I like. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Heihachi, but like I just felt because you got like because it was Spawn in the Xbox, it was Link in the GameCube, and it was Heihachi in the PlayStation. I guess that was okay, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they do one where they like eventually like do a collection that had like all those characters together? Or
say less. I did not know this existed. Hold on.
No. I'm asking. That's a question.
No, I don't think there was.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I think licensing. If there was, oh my gosh, shoot that into my veins.
They probably could now if they wanted to bring that series back. Since I mean, look at what's going on with Super Smash Brothers. It's like oh, you're from this company, well, come on in. Which is
actually, I was gonna complain about. I was about to say that licensing that they never could do that, but then actually Smash Brothers kind of obliterates that point because I don't know how. I don't know who because it was actually the same thing because they just did the Marvel vs. Capcom re-release, right? And I think part of the reason that was holding that up was just because of all the character licensing and stuff like that. But Smash, they could do that crap if they wanted to. They need to do that. I need that in my life. Anyway.
All right. Well, I'm going to be taking off, guys. Yeah, I've got some emergency, medical procedures to help somebody with or something like that.
All right.
So, all right.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it was good seeing you, talking to you guys. All right. Yeah. Take it easy, guys. Later.
Yeah. See you.
Yeah.
Well, now that he's gone, let's start the dance party.
Yeah. But actually, but you really, but you really, because it's always because I'm trying to think about what's a game where because generally there are some games where it's like the sequel comes out and we all think that the original is better, but that's widely immediately what comes to that is like Samurai Legend Musashi. That game broke my heart. Anyway, but
all right. Well, I got another one. If y'all are,
go for it, Barrett. Or I mean,
my time to think. I hit you with one.
Sorry. Moment of silence for Barrett because I said the wrong name.
He'll survive. He's a resilient.
Use his dead name.
Dead. Hold on,
man. Free gasoline.
I'm not having that conversation right now.
All right. Mario 2.
Ooh.
Once Mario 3 came out, no one gave a fuck about Mario 2.
Dude, you just took one of mine.
Why would you say such a brave statement? Oh my gosh.
So
but Mario 2 is actually pretty bitchy.
Mario 2 is a fantastic game. No,
so when you're talking Mario 2, are you talking US Mario 2 or Japanese?
Yeah.
Well, because it's like
Super Mario USA.
But no, that's a no. Oh my God, yeah, that's a. I hate it when I agree with you. Dang it.
I'm staying out of this conversation because I'm gonna turn total Demon Slayer on that game because
Mario 2 because especially. I liked Mario 2 because Mario 3 is just its own thing, but actually I do love Mario 2 just because you have those games. A bad example I'd say is probably Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh God.
Yeah, but so because it's you had all this crazy stuff in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it's like I see what they were going for, but I don't feel like it was like executed well. But Mario 2, like all the other stuff aside, you have like this crazy game where you're pulling all this stuff. Like you could pick up the enemies, you had the smash blocks and stuff like that. And especially with comparison for Mario 1 was, and then to make such a deviation to Mario 3. And don't get me wrong, I love freaking Mario 3. But I think that Mario 2, I think that's I will completely co-sign that one.
All because Howard Phillips thought that the Japanese version was too hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, like
It
real
was.
talk,
Have you played that game?
Like
It is. It's ridiculous hard.
like I ain't gonna lie. We was kind of soft back in the day, or at least I'm speaking for myself. Some of that stuff was too hard. Like I was getting rocked by there's still some Nintendo games I ain't beat. So yes, please.
One of my favorite levels in all the Mario games is the last level in Mario Brothers 2 when you're in Ward's Palace.
Yeah.
And the fact that like the mini boss is that gate you've been going through the entire game. Like you didn't expect it. I remember when all of a sudden that thing started attacking me. I was like, "What the? Oh my god! Oh, okay. I'll fight it."
Yeah. I actually never finished Mario 2. So yeah. So I don't. Anyway.
Oh, Mario! It's for the ending. Can I spoil it for you?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's a dream.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah. I knew the. I knew the. Yeah. I'm familiar with that aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah. They had to explain why everything was so different, so they just went and said, "Oh, it's a dream."
Yeah. No. But I like.
And he woke up next to his wife from the first show and talked about how he ran in, and he had these three brothers. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a different. That's a TV.
oh gosh.
The Popcorn Part show where he wakes up at the end and then he's back in the old show.
I mean, I don't feel like this is. I don't feel like, because I guess like it comes down to the to how it's regarded. But for me personally, Street Fighter 4. I really enjoyed Street Fighter 4. 5. So I guess it's like, but I guess it got decent enough love. So I mean, I can't really complain about that. But
Street Fighter 4 is like the biggest one of the whole series.
Yes, and I loved it.
Yeah. I'm just saying everyone hates Street Fighter 5 because it wasn't as good as Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah. For this.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. So like all the stuff that I would think of like that. I mean, I guess Street Fighter 6 is good now. So I mean, I don't know. Like it's weird. Like I thought people like Street Fighter. I don't know. I'm not a fair judge of these things.
I kind of So with Street Fighter, when they did Super Street Fighter 2, I just stopped with the Street Fighter series. I don't know. And then like with Mortal Kombat, it was like Mortal Kombat 3 came out, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this series now.
Yeah. No, I completely missed Street Fighter 3. So it was Super Street Fighter 2, and I guess just lack of arcades or playing or whatever. I completely missed Street Fighter 3. So like
it was like a running joke too of when are they gonna ever get to Street Fighter 3. And when they came out with Super Street Fighter 2, I'm like, this should be Street Fighter 3 because they added characters.
Yeah.
At least like with Championship Edition and Turbo, they just allowed you to play characters that were already in the game. And here they're adding new people. I'm like, well, that's sequel territory to me.
The whole Street Fighter series, though, it was really good on changing it up with each actual numbered release. I mean,
there's always at least 3 versions of every single one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. They got 4 versions or 5
and I
versions.
I was thinking about like Tekken Tag, but Tekken still changes enough. So it's still, rather base. It's still the same. So
it's funny that you mentioned Street Fighter because I was actually going to throw out Street Fighter EX series, at least the first 2, as ones that are good games that are just no one ever thinks about. And it's mainly because of the graphical, the way the graphics are. They're expecting something that was more 3D. But when you really play it, it's still a good 2D fighter.
What was a good game back in the day, but now when you play it, it's kind of crap? Virtual Fighter.
Oh.
Back in the day, that game was so much fun. Now I pick it up and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, I really liked. I mean, I'm actually a big fan because we were talking about like Genesis earlier and stuff like that. I'm a big fan, like, because when I was a kid, like, it was basically like Genesis, Super Nintendo, and I always feel like Sega did the best at trying to like recreate that arcade experience, so much to where it's just the type of games that you were playing. So like the Genesis, like there's certain stuff I'd play on Super Nintendo, certain stuff I played on Genesis, but between like Genesis and Saturn, I feel like there were a lot of good, and like Virtua Fighter, like a lot of good games that really like got that arcade vibe.
Yeah, well, they started off trying to be like the arcade at home. Like one of their first ads was like some rich or like some kid who like thought he was rich or something because now he could play all these arcade games or something. I forget what it was. It was a newspaper ad, and it was like showing like a whole bunch of these arcade machines versus like the price of buying your kid a Sega Genesis console and how much so much cheaper it is than $2,000 per arcade machine when you could just play them all for like hundreds of dollars. And like, yeah, I got a Genesis. Like, the way I got a Genesis is every year my grandmother for my birthday would take me to Toys R Us, and she'd like let me pick a game out and gave her like 50, 60, 70 bucks, right? And I was like, well, I'm saving up to get one of these Sega Genesis consoles because at that time they just dropped it down to 150 and it started to include Sonic the Hedgehog.
Gosh, remember when consoles were 150 anyway?
Damn. Yeah, and then she was like, well, if you're willing to wait till your birthday. And then on my birthday, I got the Genesis with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Nice.
And yeah, and then I was like, oh, Super Nintendo has Super Castlevania and Super Mario World.
Yeah.
You see these like, oh, but it's so much faster. Like the blast processing was kind of like making you feel better. It's like, my system has blast processing. Like the one thing say the sports games were infinitely better on Genesis because of quote unquote blast processing.
And that's exactly what I was about to speak at. Like I feel like the Genesis was like if you're playing sports games or if you're playing stuff against like your buddies or whatever, yeah, you want the Genesis because it's just the feel of it, even though I couldn't even process it at the time. So I mean Saturn's my favorite console though, but that's just
well, it's like me right now, currently with the current state of Final Fantasy. Mm-hmm. You can play most Final Fantasy games on an Xbox, but it doesn't feel right unless I'm playing it on a PlayStation.
Ooh, all right,
that's interesting.
It's just because to me, like that's the current home of Final Fantasy is PlayStation.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be weird if I was playing Final Fantasy on the Xbox. I'll give you that. Yeah, that's fair.
And I have like at least one of them on the Xbox, but it's just like the Xbox. Like I use my Xbox as my main console, but I have a PlayStation, and I have I told Mike a couple of weeks ago I bought the Final Fantasy Classic Collection or whatever they're calling it for like it's normally $70, so it's on sale for $50.
I will be right back. Excuse me.
Okay. His house is on fire, folks. He'll be all right.
So getting back to topic, I'm gonna throw it out there. Anyone else want to throw any games out?
Sure, I'll throw one out.
Okay.
What about Super C?
Super C. Oh, wow. Okay.
NES game that was just the ugly stepchild between original Contra and like Contra Hardcore.
And Contra 3. Contra 3 really did some damage to it because that one got super big.
Yeah, good point. Oh my gosh.
I think the problem with Super C was that what the Konami code did in Super C versus what it did in the original Contra. Because in Super C, you put the Konami code in, you only got 10 lives.
It just wasn't as fun, huh?
So no, really, I think because everyone's so used to 30 lives in Contra, I think that was kind of a shocker to people when it's like, sorry, you only get 10, you're not going to get as far in this one.
See, I think the problem with Super C was the overhead levels. That they went from being like sort of 3D-ish levels to being overhead levels, and it just felt like a letdown.
Yeah,
okay, I have returned.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It threw me off when I was trying to play Super C for like the first time. Just like it didn't feel like Contra.
Oh, yeah, that's.
But I do understand that it did it developed a following because it led to like Contra 3 and the series is still alive today in some form or another.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually ended up picking up that Operation Galuga and going through it with the buddy. It was a good time.
Yeah, that's a really good game.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game.
Anyone else want to add anything on Super C?
Nope.
Who's next?
You ever play the Japanese version of regular Contra on Nintendo, the Famicom version?
Oh, Lord, no.
Oh, it's got like extra graphic effects. It's actually got a story if you could understand the language, and it's got maps and everything. It's a more flushed out version of Contra.
You know, actually, I kind of like it. It kind of has like when I think about some of those like old school like Nintendo games, where I think like looking back on them, like you said, they were translation or ports of Japanese stuff. It kind of has like that early aughts or maybe like '90s like anime OVA vibe, where like it's like this unfinished thing, and all you get is like these pieces, but it's still like
Well, what happened? What happened is like in Japan, they were allowed to make their own cartridges, so they could put their own special chips in there. But in the U.S., all the cartridges had to be made by Nintendo. So Konami found a way where they can make the game without having to use any of their special chips, and that's the U.S. version. While the Japanese version has the extra chips, so you can have extra. Like when you're in a lot of the levels, the background moves.
Oh wow! Holy crap!
Oh yeah, it's really cool. So I recommend getting if you can trying it out. It's just the Konami code is the same. Everything, the whole level layouts are all the same. If you can beat this game in the U.S. version, you could beat the Japanese version, and it's a lot more fun. I think.
Well, I think I got the like Contra Collection on Steam. Do they have the Japanese version in there? Would that be it?
That's actually where I played it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I got that, so then I'll check that out. I actually never. I just played the original Contra, and I think Contra 3's on there too.
Oh no, wait! I played it. I had it on on an EverDrive, and I played it on an original hardware too.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that's when I was trying to figure out how to get the original hardware to play the music for Castlevania 3. So I had to go and like actually like buy a transistor and like solder it.
It's amazing how much technical knowledge I have just because of like video games. Like the only reason I understand computer networking at all is trying to play Counter-Strike with my buddies back in the day.
Yeah, it's like you sit there and you figure it out, and it's like it's for like you end up like later in life, like, oh yeah, I remember I know how to do this because I was doing something for me and my buddies to go play a video.
Yeah, like so much technical knowledge gained to play video games back in the day because none of this Xbox Live crap. We had to work for it back in my day.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember you had to go and blow in the cartridges. And the fact that I literally told you do not blow in this thing.
But it works.
All right, anything else? Because if not, I got more.
I got a really obscure one if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonder Boy in Monsterland.
Oh, wow. Okay, that one's actually not a bad game.
Do you know the arcade version or the console version?
I played it on Sega Master System, but they're both pretty good. But
is there a huge difference? Or is it the same game, really?
It's pretty similar.
Okay.
Better graphics on the arcade, of course, but compared to like Monster's Trap, it's nowhere near as good. But it's a pretty good game for the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I played it on the PCE because when I got my Turbo Duo, the person who sold to me had a stack of games that they were sending with it, and that just happened to be one of them. So, and I didn't know anything about it at the time, so I just kind of popped it in, and first thing I thought was Hudson Adventure Island when I started playing it. But I actually kind of had a blast with it. So I'm curious what the difference between that and the Sega Master System would be.
I had a PlayStation, or not a PlayStation. I'm thinking the PCE. I'm thinking PlayStation. I don't know. A PC Engine. I had a PC Engine that I bought off of eBay, and it said in the ad that it was upgraded to do RGB, so you can like hook it up to using SCART, which was my plan. And it said it was done by Voltar. Do you guys haven't heard of Voltar?
Isn't that the thing that tells the future in the movie Big?
Okay, well, on top of that, there's Lord Voltar, who is a YouTuber who he's excellent at soldering. Mm-hmm. He's like an artist when it comes to soldering stuff. So I buy this thing, and I'm having issues with it. So I reach out to Voltar. And Voltar said, like, show me like pictures of the work, and I show them the pictures from the listing because they actually showed pictures of the inside, and I didn't feel like taking it apart, so I just used the pictures that other guy sent me. And then Voltar was like, "That's not my work." And I'm like, "Well, the guy said it was." Like, "Well, yeah, a lot of people claim it's my stuff. That's not me."
Just to make a few extra bucks, probably.
Yeah, well, because his name carries some kind of weight in the community, especially like if you're buying old systems, where like he is somebody who he's expensive, but like like the job's going to be perfect. Yeah. Like he's also like he's a bit of an asshole. So, but like one of those assholes because of his perfectionism. Like he's very like a perfectionist. Also, he's just kind of rude to people. But but yeah, and so it's a badge, and there's people are using it on eBay saying like Voltar installed this. It's like, no, dude, you installed it. All right, guys.
All right.
We got.
I want to get controversial here.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a big one out. The Metal Gear series.
You hate the Metal Gear Solid name.
I do hate the Metal Gear series. But when you think of Metal Gear, you think of Metal Gear Solid. You think of like Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Solid 5. Those are all probably pretty much skid marks on the video game industry. Anything
They're all
that
movies that have a little bit of game attached.
Anything that Kojima is involved with usually ends up sucking, in my opinion.
Hold on. I will not tolerate any Kojima. Well, I'll tolerate some Kojima slander. But listen.
Okay.
So there's a story about somebody who beat one of the Solid games, and their system literally turned off because of how long the cutscene was. Yeah. The system thought the guy went to sleep.
All right. So
hold on, I haven't even got my game out yet.
Well, yeah,
I did go to sleep.
I'm gonna go off on Kojima later. Let me let y'all finish, and then I'll get my Kojima rant.
Okay, so just so you know, because Tron, you probably don't know this about me, the best Metal Gear games, the best Metal Gear game of all time is the first Metal Gear on Nintendo, which he did not touch whatsoever.
I played it.
My third favorite is Snake's Revenge, which he did not touch at all.
He hates that one. He's on record saying he hates that one.
The second one is the one that I wanted to mention because I'm kind of surprised that this one kind of gets forgotten about. And in Japan, and I believe in Europe, it was referred to as Ghost Babel. In the US, it was just Metal Gear Solid. It's the Game Boy version. And what this did so well was it took everything that was so good about the first Metal Gear and took those few elements that were good about Metal Gear Solid and kind of mixed them together. And also, I don't think Kojima had much involvement in it either.
So you just want to find games that he created but these are versions, you want versions that he had nothing to do with.
Pretty much. No, actually, I mean, for some reason, when it comes to Metal Gear, the less involvement he has, the more I enjoy it. I don't know why. It's just the way it plays out.
I'm not gonna sit here and frickin' stand for all of Kojima's work, but what I will say is I do sleep better at night knowing he's out there doing crazy stuff. Like I feel like we don't have a lot of like the auteurs anymore, and it's kind of like. It's maybe like back in like, like Renaissance times, back when like you were like a lord and you had like some castle and you just pay some artist and he'd like F off for like 3 years. And then maybe you'd get like the David statue or something like that. I think when you have people like that, you got to let them take shots and miss. And it's like as weird as like, and also just the other thing is while there's maybe a quality like thing to make is like all I had was consoles, right? So again, when you think about like I'm playing like Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and it's like this man is out of his mind. But it's really cool to kind of like when I think about Metal Gear, I'm playing Metal Gear 2, and I'm like, this dude is out of his mind. This is crazy. And then I come back and I play Metal Gear 4, and I'm like, oh my God, he meant that shit. And there's a respect there. So that's the thing. You got to dream, you got to imagine, you got to do some stuff where people are like, this is ridiculous. So
the thing I say about him, I say this all the time, is I think he would be great if he wasn't doing games. If he was just focusing on taking these things and making them movies. Well, they would be much more enjoyable.
Well, that's
but the fact that there's a game.
I mean, he should be a movie producer.
Well, no, he shouldn't be, because that's exactly why he makes the games that he makes, because he wanted to be a movie producer, but he sucked at it. And so that's basically. And I love Kojima, but that's how he got in the game. That's the tragedy of Kojima. He wanted to make movies, but he wasn't good at them. But he's good at making games. And that's why all
That's
of his
debatable.
games feel like, well, no, he's like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna argue that.
Well, I mean, that's
but,
all subjective. So I mean,
but yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. But like objectively, like I remember there was something about like how he like Metal Gear Solid, even though even though you hate it, like Metal Gear Solid for me is one of the games that changed how I view the world. Right?
Really?
So, I mean,
Yeah,
granted,
it is.
I
Yeah, it is.
won't say I hate Metal Gear
I'm-
Solid. I hate the Metal
I-
Gear Solid series.
Yeah.
I played through Metal Gear Solid enough to get the tux.
Yeah, but
So,
but
the thing is,
all right.
I wouldn't go back now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch it at all now at this point. But I would play Metal Gear. I would play Metal Gear Solid on Game Boy Color, and I'd play Snake's Revenge. I wouldn't mind that. I'd even played Metal Gear on MSX, but that's pretty much as far as I'm going to go in the series.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid to me is like the live action Transformers movies. There's all these people who love them, and I don't understand why.
So this is why. All right. So number one, whatever. I'm gonna go on a rant. This is a podcast. You know what you get when you brought me here. All right. So I'm from the hood, right? So all my boys, they playing Madden, they playing NBA Live. The only reason I know how to play Madden NFL football is because my boys clown me so hard. So I had to learn how to play the game of football so they leave me alone, right? But I'm playing like Final Fantasy and Earthbound, right? So I went to this high school, went to this boarding school, and they asked us, because they always ask us stuff about like how you see the world. This is high school and stuff like that. And they were like, "What scares you?" And I was like, "What scares me about the world? Biological warfare." You know why that is? Because a freaking fox died. Metal Gear Solid, as weird as it was, and also just because of like the environment I'm in and stuff like that, we talking about geopolitical stuff, and then also because I was kind of smart, like I'm sitting here thinking about like Metal Gear Rex, and I'm like, you know what, like I don't know enough about I know enough about science to where I can't immediately disprove that out of my head, like a ballistic, like a tactical nuclear warhead fired from a freaking railgun on a walking robot. Come on, man. So it's like you have to take the good with the bad. So that's kind of and just with like just that and he's cramming the stuff in there, but again, like when you've been walking through the desert and even if it's fetid water, you're gonna drink, right? So that's the thing where like I'm always kind of like it really like expanded my idea about like that Final Fantasy and I guess Earthbound really expanded my ideas of what video games could be.
Was Metal Gear Solid the first Metal Gear game that you played?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go back and play Metal Gear, the first one on NES?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What was your experience with that?
It was Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibes.
Okay.
Too much. I mean, it wasn't like, to be fair, I played it and I can appreciate what it was doing, and I think again, like just with like, and it's like, because I think about like stuff like River City Ransom or whatever the games were, where you like buy freaking moves. So it had a lot of stuff in there, but it was I was too young, it was too old, stuff like that.
Okay, then do this. Take that and reverse it for me. I started with Metal Gear way back in the NES days.
Oh yeah, no,
So I mean, the games are kind of night and day. That
this is a manifestation of the arguments we always have. No, you're absolutely right.
Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear series would be perfect if we ever did an episode on like games that feel like they're completely from different series, but they're in the same series, and it would be like Metal Gear versus Metal Gear Solid. It's like two different feeling games, but they're technically in the same series.
For that.
Yeah, but it says, but I think the thing is, but I think the thing is and what it comes down to it, and this is something that I also have with I'm forgetting the names. I ain't gonna say his name, but the other person who I'm loath to agree with sometimes. But one of the things that I have to think about is that like because I was I'm a console gamer because when I was younger I didn't have the ability, right? Mm-hmm. So there's all this history that I missed, and so when you look at stuff like the Metal Gears and all this stuff, and you're like, it's a crap, rendition, which is absolutely true. But like, I had nothing else, so it's like it moved it forward. and that's where, and like, so I'm not even disagreeing with you guys' assessment of that, but because of where I was, what was available to me, the fact that Kojima's crazy ass cobbled this stuff together, that's important.
It's like if somebody who grew up on the GoBots.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, I mean, like that's a perfect example. I mean, like, I'm older now, I know better, but just as a matter of, it would be hypocrisy for me to like, like,
at
I
the
get
time
it.
for you, these were good games.
But guys, we were starving out here, man. I don't know what to tell you.
After this, I cannot wait for my next one that's gonna set Tron ablaze.
Now, Mike, hold on, Mike. I got a question for you though. Have you played the MSX version of Metal Gear?
Yes, I have.
So is it worse than the NES version?
That was worse. To me, is worse than the NES version. The reason why is because it felt too compact, whereas the NES version spread the buildings out. So it felt like I was doing more of like a reconnaissance from here to there, and it felt more like an actual base. I put the Metal Gear, the MSX version, in 4th place in the Metal Gear series, and then I actually put Metal Gear Solid 1 in 5th, and then there's a line of everything else that needs to be dumped in the trash.
Like, again, when I played Metal Gear Solid 2, I was like, this is ridiculous. What are you doing? But again, I did not, and this is again why I personally cannot slander Kojima, because I was playing it and I was like, this is crazy, and then I played 4 and I was like, oh, he actually carried that stuff forward. So it's like I have to respect the Stones, if nothing else.
All right, well, let's move on to someone else.
Gosh.
Well, I guess I misunderstood you because I was going to talk about Assassin's Creed. What's the one where I think it's called Assassin's Creed Liberation?
Oh, okay.
It's like a spinoff of 3.
Yeah, I really wanted to play that because it had the black girl was the or the mixed girl or whatever was the.
So this one is interesting. It's because she actually in the game it tries something new with the Assassin's Creed where you can change personas. Because she could either be a slave or she could be a debutante.
So it's code switching the video game.
Like in the game, because she's a black woman in the slave slave area, but she herself is upper class.
Yeah. Well, actually,
so she can either do she could either be dressed as upper class, or she could be dressed as a slave, or she could be an assassin. And each one of them unlocks different powers or abilities that you're able to do.
Well, that's actually because I always wanted to play that game, but I never could. And I'm gonna actually this could be something that's problematic, but I actually do mean this in a genuine way. So I think so. Hopefully this won't come across too bad. But so obviously I'm brown, as you guys know. But I think it's interesting that because I saw the game and I thought it was cool and just from whatever, but I've never actually played it. But it's interesting to hear that part about it, because one of the things that I think is interesting when you think about stuff like that is like passing, right? And so passing is that you got like a lot of different black folks in the country who are mixed with their various white, and so you have people that are black that can look white. And what I think is very funny is it can almost sound like ridiculous on its head, but just change dress, because I thought my grandmother was white till I was like 7. She was so fair skinned, right? And so it's wild to me that they actually kind of like mix that in there. So I'm kind of mad that I missed it, just as like a pure like academic standpoint. But just like the cultural aspect of that they actually like went for that. Also, because that was like a PSP title, right? I think.
It was either PSP or Vita. I think it was PSP.
Yeah, it was PSP. Yeah, so I'm guessing that, like, especially at the time, the fact that it was a mobile title was why they even like gave them license to even try that. But that's amazing.
Yeah, like I think I played it on PlayStation 3 because it's one of those where it did well enough where they gave it a full console.
Oh, nice. Release. Okay, yeah, but I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I just didn't have the means at the time when I saw it, and I just never got.
There's like another one that's a spinoff of 4, and that one you're like his you're like his co-captain.
Okay.
And that one's another one where the whole
Ben,
game.
let me jump in for a sec. Ben, let me jump in for a sec. I don't know if you saw, but Demon Slayer needs to go because of work. Is there anything you want, Demon Slayer? Before you go, is there any other games that you want to add really quick?
Nah.
Okay.
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 Well, thanks for being on.
Yeah,
thanks, man. It's great having you. There's another one. It's off of. Let me go and look it up real quick. It's off of Assassin's Creed 4. Mm-hmm. It's a spin-off of it. So let me see. Spin off. What was it? Oh my God, Screen Rant. Don't tell me like here's some spin-offs that are worth playing. You're not answering my question.
Oh, Screen Rant needs to die in a fire anyway.
I forget the name of it, but one of them is you're at a well who's a former slave. Oh, here they're it's called Freedom Cry. And this one here, it's a very short game, but this one here, it's Assassin's Creed. Like you actually you have a ship and you can build your ship up, but what you're doing in this game is you're actually freeing slaves.
Oh, they're doing like the Haiti, the Caribbean thing or whatever, I think.
Yeah, you're going around and you're freeing them.
Oh, I heard about that, but I had no.
Yeah, and then it was actually kind of fun, like freeing people. It's like, that's one of my favorite things to do in any of these games.
Freedom, what a concept, right?
And I can let them out. It's always fun to do that for some reason. I don't know why.
Liberation, what a concept.
Liberation.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyone else have any more that you want to throw out before I light Tron up here?
Oh dear. All right.
Oh,
now go ahead, Mike.
I can't wait to see what this is going to be.
Yeah, no, yeah, like I'm
all right. So get ready because Tron is going to de-res with anger on this one.
All right.
This one is a 5-game series that got big when it hit the 3rd game.
Okay.
What's been forgotten is the 2nd one. Now, I will say this. The 3rd was known as exceptional. The 4th was known as exceptionaler. The 5th one is known as exceptionalist. Okay. And everything from that 3rd on just needs to be destroyed in a big fire and never exist ever again.
I know what game it is.
Now, here's the thing, and I think the reason why the 2nd one, even though being good, is forgotten about is because of difficulty in playing the game these days.
I should know this, but I have no idea what's coming.
You are going to know this in a second when I say this, because the 2nd one was a 2-part, but it was broken up when it was here. So that game would be Persona 2.
I got it.
No, okay. All right.
No, let me explain why. Let me explain why it's a problem, because if you know anything about Persona 2 was a PlayStation game, but there was 2 parts to it. There was Sumi and Batsu. And Sumi was the first part, never came to the US. So we ended up getting Batsu, which turned to Eternal Punishment. So we got the 2nd part, which is in line with what they did with Persona on PlayStation, where they cut half the game. Then what happened was eventually said, okay, we're going to release Sumi as Innocent Sin on the PSP, which it finally then came to North America then. And then they released Batsu on the PSP, but they decided for some reason, well, you know what? Let's just not release Eternal Punishment on the PSP. So the only way to play it now in the US is to play the first one on PSP and then move to the 2nd part on PlayStation. And if you know anything about the pricing of it, getting a physical copy, you pretty much have to sell a kidney these days.
So this does not anger me at all, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to tell you why. So again, the kicker of this is going to be like what I said earlier. Like bro, we was thirsty out here. I don't know what to tell you. So I played so my history with the Persona series is that I played Persona 3. And I didn't play Persona 3 until I got out of college. Mm-hmm. Right? And Persona 3 just, I mean, we don't have to go into this. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but very rarely have I played a game and been like, this is my shit. And that was Persona 3. And I'm not even gonna say that's a good thing, but it's just, but so I went back and I picked up, I think some of like Persona 1 and Persona 2 for PSP. And when I look at those games, I lament that I wasn't aware of them when they were a thing. because like the reason I love Persona 3 and what follows it so much is because such of the deviation from it. And I think and my vision is forever skewed because of that. So I can look at Persona 1 and Persona 2, it says, yeah, I can come back to it now. But if I had like been around for this when it was actually what a thing, it would have blew my mind then, and then I'd have a different opinion now.
Well, what's interesting, because Persona was very unknown about.
Yeah.
Dr. G was the one that actually recommended it to me when he saw like a review on IGN, and I just ran out. I think it was like 1998. I ran out, picked it up on PlayStation,
Yeah.
and if you all don't know my favorite game of all time, it actually is Persona 1.
Yeah. So it's like so. Yeah. So it's Go ahead. Sorry.
I won't. The weird thing is I won't touch the PSP version because it's the best way I can put this is it's not my version. It's like if you were to hear that, Transformers is getting a remake that's going to be more accurate to the original script of what it was going to be. So in this one, you have Optimus Master, who's going to fight Mega Killer, and the Autocons are going after the Deceptitroids. You're going to hear this, you're like, dude, this isn't my Transformers. And that's the problem with Persona on PlayStation and portable.
I can do nothing but defer to you as a man of culture on this one, because I wasn't. That's just what I had. So
the thing that kills Persona 3 for me that I think you already know is the social links. If I wanted a freaking dating game or chat thing, I'd go get a freak. I just get on freaking Telegram.
See, and like I said, if you made something that was my shit, that would be it. I was surprised that they put this in video game form. So I can't,
I don't understand it. It's like I'm too tired to go to the tower tonight. Well, you know what, dude? We're saving the freaking world. Put your big boy pants on, get your weapons, let's go grind.
Well, no, but that's the beauty of it, because I'm grinding, but if I boost the social links, then that increases my experience grind. So I can also get in my waifu wars, and I can get triple EXP. Say less.
No, boosting the social links was so stupid because of the fact that what it was doing was it was boosting up the personas, leveling. When you create the persona, they level up faster. Grinding did exact that, but you're also grinding your character when you did that. Yeah, but you're not grinding your persona when you use the social links. I actually pretty much stopped using social links halfway through the game and let pretty much everything reverse.
What you can do is you leverage the social links, because whenever you do, and it didn't state this, but one of the things that's cool about it is that when you leverage the social links, it increases your EXP in a way that does, and especially when you do fusion. So if you're mixing around, because like the thing I loved about Persona 3 is that game would absolutely kick you in the teeth. Like it would just kick you in the freaking teeth.
No, that game is so freaking easy.
Again,
once you figure out the system, it's so freaking easy to just plow through that game.
So the thing is, but the thing is that
I came from Persona, which is a total different hard experience.
Which is going back to, regardless of the defense I'm going to levy here. I can't, like, it's so skewed, and even I can accept that. But again, like to get like waifu wars and then to level the social links, because like basically that game kicked me in the teeth. But then what I realized is that if you did your fusions along with the social link, you get massive EXP. There were so many times where I'd hit a wall in that game and I'd look at the social links and I'd basically just merge a persona. And then I guess, like, because the thing is that the persona stats would also boost your character stats. So like if you needed to be stronger, you could just make a different persona, because it would affect how you did like attacks and stuff like that. So like it was amazing to me that, because I don't really go for dating sims a lot, but I like them enough. So, and I'll just admit that. So
was it really worth going through talking to
yes,
Tomiko and taking her to the store and having to go through those? What's your favorite type of
that was
cake?
an amazing
Fine.
experience. You could help her bring her
Chocolate.
out of her
Ooh,
shell
me
and stuff
too.
like that. Yes, it's a fantastic experience. You're helping this girl and being able to share tender moments with them, and then you go to the dungeon and whoop some stuff, and then get an experience boost also off of this wonderful experience you just had. Come
Bro,
on.
I'm a grinder. I'm the one that
And the social links help you grind better. That's what
I'm I'm the one that Persona had my main character at agility of 99s throwing a glass wall on Pandora and sitting there and watching Pandora eat its own attacks and going, wow, the last boss is not even going to hit me.
And again, that's the that's I wasn't there for that time. It's like talking to kids that like watch Dragon Ball Z on like YouTube shorts. It's like it's a different conceptualization of reality. I
But
don't know.
did you ever get to Persona 2 really? Like I think you should have.
Yeah, no, I played both of them a little bit, but again, that's why I say it's like I didn't stick with them enough, but it's one of those situations to where like I don't even think Persona. I didn't think they were bad games. My feeling from playing this was I missed this.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I think that Persona 2 did a great idea with the rumor system, which because it wasn't social links, but it did have effects on how the game played out.
I freaking love social links. I will stand on business with that one. I love social links.
I love to get them out. So we agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, and honestly, I'll even say further. You're probably right. I mean, sometimes I like trash. I don't know what to tell you. All right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I will give Persona 3 this because you played it through the social links. I ignored the social links and I grinded my way through Tartarus. Oh. We got to the same point at the end where we were probably just destroying everything. And,
oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh.
And
God,
you know what? I made. I will never forget. I made Loki and I thought I was just putting on the strongest single fire, the strongest single ice, the strongest single was it wind, and the strongest single what was the other element? Lightning.
Yeah.
I thought I was putting on those four, but
lightning, light and dark. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, once I finished him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got the strongest light and the strongest dark single attacks on it. So I was like, I'm ready to walk in with anything, and I just knock everything down and do an all-out attack just using one persona.
I think like Persona 3 was once I finally because it was like because that game kicked me in the teeth so hard. But when it got to the point to where I could like actually like fight the Grim Reaper, because like literally like it was just the tension in that game was so crazy because I normally don't like, randomly. Well, what they randomly? I think they randomly generated. But yeah, but it was just the fact that the game kicked me so hard, but I was able because basically I super leveled all my personas by exploiting the heck out of social links. Mm-hmm. That's because because you would get so much because I'd be weak. I'd go back, do some social link stuff for a little bit, do my fusions, and then I'd be strong enough to deal with whatever was in front of me.
Yeah, see, I just grinded my way through it, which gave me both the persona levels and the player levels. I mean, but I understand the way the series worked because Persona is so freaking brutal, where it's like you have the wrong element on.
Oh yeah, you're
magic
like I remember
kills you.
Yeah,
you don't even have a chance.
Yeah, I remember the first time when I got up and they started using light and dark attacks. I think I got like Mudon on me or something like that. I was like, oh Lord! And I had been. And I'd be grinding for like an hour. I hadn't even saved. I was like, oh.
You ready for what's even worse than that? Is that when I started playing Persona, I played it like a Final Fantasy. So I got to the black market. So I got through the whole school where you first get hit with all the dark magic with the starting personas on no higher than level 5, physical attacking everything through it. And I'm sitting there going, dude, this is like the hardest RPG I've ever played.
That's and that's why I can't disrespect the experience. I miss that. I can't speak to that.
The first persona I ever made in the Velvet Room was Deva, which is level 29. Yeah. And I was still using starting personas at like level 5.
Yeah. So
man, it was brutal.
Yeah. Sorry, I went on a Persona rant here.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So anyway, Persona 2 is forgotten about. It should not be, unfortunately, and I really wish that it would have come out both versions on the same platform in the US somewhere.
trying to think of I know that there are games that I thought were fantastic that didn't get the. Well, I don't know if they're sequels though. Like I always like some weird like one-off stuff. But
Well, Ben, Private, do you have any others?
I misunderstood the instructions a little bit and picked out a game that was so terrible it over the previous one.
Well, this is interesting. Which one is this?
Was it terrible in a good way?
Oh no.
Oh,
what game is this?
So have you ever played Checkered Flag on the Jaguar?
No, missed that.
You shouldn't. It's terrible. But
let me explain something about the Private here. The Private is that guy. He's that guy that when you get to, like in this case, you get to like, I had, what was better, PlayStation, N64, the Saturn was out. Well, and he's the guy that's like, well, I had the Jaguar.
Oh,
He's that one. Like, watch this for a second. Watch this. Private. Have you played Resident Evil?
Yes, I've played one Resident Evil game.
What Resident Evil game?
Code Veronica.
There you go.
Nice.
That should explain everything about how he plays video games right there.
I mean, if you're gonna play a Resident Evil, that's not a bad one. So I mean,
yeah, but it's kind of the one that's it's a good one, but it's out. Which actually maybe it's one that we should mention right now. But it's a good one, but it's just outside of the numbered series. So
yeah, no.
But when you come down to like the original formula and style for gameplay for Resident Evil, it's probably the most polished, best looking one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll give you that on Code Veronica. One of my old roommates was super into Resident Evil, and I actually watched him this college. I watched him play Code Veronica. Yeah, no, and it's like I couldn't. I loved Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 2, I loved just because of what it represented at the time. But yeah, but Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 were really the ones that stood out to me. And I mean, and I liked.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and actually, I'll actually say this. I liked Resident Evil 5. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Well, it's okay because I didn't really like Resident Evil 4.
You guys are really starving out there, huh?
Yeah, no, but honestly, because like, so Resident Evil 5 was and actually, yes, we were really starving, yes, but no, I enjoyed because Resident Evil 4. Because Resident Evil now, what I will say this, and it's as much jokes as I've been saying about starving. Resident Evil 4, I absolutely enjoyed. I played it 3 times before I stopped playing. I beat it 3 times, but I didn't stop playing until on my 3rd playthrough. So Resident Evil 4, I absolutely enjoyed. I thought it was fantastic, just everything. And so basically, Resident Evil 5 took Resident Evil 4 and made it multiplayer, and I love that. So I kind of looked at Resident Evil 5 as just an extension of Resident Evil 4.
Would you be surprised if I disagreed with you and said Resident Evil 4 was the death of the Resident Evil series?
I mean, I disagree. I mean, yeah, I disagree with you, but that's one where again, it's just like that game was freaking fantastic.
I guess you enjoyed being chased Indiana Jones style by rolling boulders. I hated those. I absolutely hated those. But I will say this: the remake takes those out. So I actually am enjoying the Resident Evil 4 remake right now.
What I will say is that I will definitely concede that Resident Evil 4 was a complete departure from the Resident Evil series at that point.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But
which was something that ticked me off about it.
Well, and it didn't tick me off. But that's because like Resident Evil 2 is like my watermark, and I enjoyed it. But that was not a pleasant experience. I remember in the first beginning of Resident Evil 4 when you're in the village. I shot a crate and ammo spawned, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good time." So that's just. But I will not disagree with the Resident Evil purist out there. But I got through Resident Evil 2. But for me to sit back, for me to have the problems that I had with pre-Resident Evil, and then them boxes dropped ammo, and then them. Oh God. Oh yeah. No, I all day. Fantastic. 10 out of 10.
So I'm going to hop back and go back to Private because he was mentioning something that was a terrible game. We just kind of totally tangent off that. So I want to give him the opportunity to throw it out there.
Yeah, okay. So here's what happened. Checkered Flag on the Jaguar was so bad that everyone remembers it as being this famously terrible game. Like if you look up anything on the Jaguar, people will tell you how terrible this game was. But Checkered Flag on the Atari Lynx was really good. It was a sprite scaling racing game on a handheld system that was It was the best racing game on the system. And if they'd done sprite scaling on the Jaguar, it would have been great too, because that thing was a sprite scaling monster. But they went polygons and they couldn't push it. So
it was an arcade game. It was good there too.
Oh, yeah?
Nice.
See, I didn't even know that. That was overshadowed that one.
So I had the Atari 50th anniversary collection, and they released a couple add-ons to it, and one of them introduced a game to because of the add-on, I went and I started playing around, and I was looking at the Atari Jaguar games, and they had a game called Dino Dudes, and I was like kind of getting into that. It's like it's this weird puzzle game where you have to get like your 4 Dino Dudes to the exit, and like you have to figure out how you're gonna do it, and you can only control one of them at a time. It's very interesting.
I tried to like that game. It was too slow for me.
Yeah, I got to like the 4th level, and then I got stuck, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm done.
I don't think it's very far, man.
It was still interesting. It was better than I thought. It was not what I was thinking, because at the beginning of the game, I thought it was gonna be like Lemmings.
Let's go.
Or Flicky. You ever play Flicky?
Never even heard of Flicky.
Oh, Flicky is a Genesis. Well, actually, it's on all Sega consoles. It's a Sega game, and you're
It's an arcade game.
You're a bird trying to save these little chicks by running at them, and when you run at them, all of a sudden they start following you, and you're trying to keep them away from the cats while bringing them to the exit safely. Yeah, it's an easy game that can become it's addictive. It's an addictive game.
It's an arcade game. It's sort of like Mappy.
Yeah, especially from the same people who brought, because isn't Mappy also a Sega game? Or
that was Namco.
Oh, no, you're right. Namco. Yep. The same idea as Mappy though. Mappy, that's the one where you get actually like you're jumping around too. That one's kind of cool. Some cool old arcade games.
All right, so I'm gonna throw out one more. This is my last one, and then if you guys have any more, let me know. Mine is actually the first in the series, and I think that it was overshadowed by the second in the series, because the second in the series seems to be, for some reason, I don't know why, like it seems to be like one of the greatest memorable PlayStation games of all time, and I absolutely hate the second one. But the first one was Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain.
Oh, dude! Soul Reaver's getting re-released. They're doing a re-release of it. They're taking pre-orders now. I'm like so tempted to get it because Soul Reaver was awesome. Sorry, I'm ruining your mojo.
No, that's okay, because I'm sure they're not re-releasing Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain, which was a big mistake. Man, that game is just it's in another world. It's like just the voice acting was just at that time when I picked it up, it was just mind blowing. I mean, I can actually sit there and quote word for word like the opening cinematic parts of that game, because I've gone through it so many times.
And you can't quote House of the Dead 2?
We're meeting G over there. I think that's about all I know.
Oh no, G.
No, but yeah, I could just sit there and the tavern's closed. Best be on your way, stranger. What? No mug of ale for a weird traveler from distant Cornhagen? I can reward you well, for I have noble blood. I mean, I
don't know. I don't know how the sequels were, but actually, when I played the first Thief, that blew my mind. So I know they did some sequels, and I can't really speak to how well they were received, but
I think 4 was very much disliked to the point where it killed the series.
Yeah, but the first Thief just with, but again, that was like because that was probably when I first started realizing that PC gaming was a thing. Yeah, so
I would like to try a Thief, but there's a massive problem with doing that. Is it a stealth game?
Well, I mean, honestly, because I haven't touched. I've just been aware of Thief in it, but like the first one was the only one I've really played. So.
Yeah. But is it a stealth game?
I guess I don't know. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean, he's a thief, so yeah. I mean, I guess it's. I mean, the first one was a stealth game. I'll say that. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's a game called Thief, but you go in there and you're like, "Hey, everybody, I'm gonna be taking this stuff of yours.
I mean,
Don't stop me."
that's the thing when it comes to those type of games, like Deus Ex, a good example. It's like, well, you can sneak around. I'm the dude that's kicking the front door, guns ablazing, shooting.
Oh yeah, you got the gift done. Yeah,
I cannot, and this is probably why I'm not a Metal Gear Solid fan. I can't stand stealth anymore. Period. Like I will not pay attention ever again because
you ever
I
play
just
the
don't
Hitman
want
series?
Oh gosh.
Like you get Hitman, like the original release of Hitman on PlayStation 2 and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hitman 2. I knew a guy who like was so into that game. He literally got every single level Silent Assassin, and in order to do that, you have to kill your target with nobody even knowing you were there, and you only kill your target.
I stealth games done well are fantastic. I will. Yeah, because Tenchu. Oh gosh, yeah. I play Tenchu Z just because it was something. Yeah, no, no, those are all of them. So
I remember playing through Tenchu, and I did like whatever, like the S rank or whatever on all like 1 through 9, and then I got to 10, and I was like, I'm so done with this. It's the last level, and I just ran straight through it, and I was being followed by everybody pretty much.
Yeah,
but I'm able to get through it.
I remember what was it? It was the Tenchu for PlayStation, and then I got Wrath of Heaven for PS2. Yeah, no, I love the Tenchu series. I just no, that's just yeah, that's fantastic.
All right, anyone else got anything to add?
No, this is a supersized episode today.
I know, right? Yeah, you see, y'all got me going about the fetid water that I was drinking in the oasis in the desert of gaming.
Whatever, man. I had an Atari Jaguar.
Dude, my buddy. Okay, so I went to school with a guy who
not only got that. Can't argue with that.
But I went to school with a guy who had the Jaguar, and so I'm one of the like you, and we're part of a rare breed who's actually seen one of these like actually out in the wild, and he went and actually bought the Atari Jaguar CD, and to find out like only 20,000 of them or something like that. It's like the lowest amount I've ever heard of for an accessory. Like more people have been in Congress than have had an Atari Jaguar CD.
I'm gonna start using that as a reference now.
like nobody I think it was like I forget what the number was when I heard it. I'm like, oh my god! And how the hell did I ever see one actually in the wild? But I've also seen a Nintendo 64 DD.
Oh yeah.
I was on a Navy ship. I was a kid. They had the Tiger Cruise program, which that's a whole other thing. And one of the sailors in Hong Kong bought a Nintendo 64 DD, and I didn't even know those things existed. And I'm like, this is so cool, and I'm like checking it out. And then I get home, and like the newest issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly comes out, and they say Nintendo planning a DD system. And it never came out here.
Yeah, I wanted that so bad. I wanted that to come out, but it did.
Yeah, and then it flopped in Japan. Like Nintendo really has never had any good luck with like these type of add-ons, like a Sega CD type of add-on. They've never had luck with it.
Sega didn't have luck with it either.
I feel like the 32X was like the best that they got.
The 32X, oh my god, that's like I lost faith in Sega after the Sega Saturn, because the Sega Saturn in the US was such a flop.
So it's again with like not quite the Kojima vibes, but I appreciate, because like again, Sega Saturn is my favorite console. I appreciate what they did with it. It's a shame that it didn't do well, but I liked what the Sega Saturn was about. And also,
I have the Sega Tower of Power, and I got this big collection of Sega games, and I traded all in the Funko Land, because the Funko Land salesman told me that they're one of the few stores that got an early shipment of them, because they did that surprise release. Mm-hmm. And then when I get it, I have like a shitty copy of Virtual Fighter and like Clockwork Knights, which I kind of got some mileage out of, but it's a really creepy game.
So I
creepy game.
I actually enjoyed Clockwork Knight. I enjoyed Clockwork Knight a lot, and I guess it's kind of like, and that's kind of why I like the Saturn, was because like some of like those weird, and also I'm actually I think this game is in my room right now. Like Clockwork Knight, Burning Rangers, Die Hard Arcade. There are just so many. I think Ikaruga even came out for Saturn, but I didn't get that. But yeah, it's just what was it, freaking Guardian Heroes, Wing Arms. There were so many like interesting experiences for me that I really liked on Saturn.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like I think I got really far in Clockwork Knights. Like when I say it's creepy of a game, I just mean
that's a weird game. That's a weird game. I'm not gonna. No,
it's a game you could possibly have nightmares about.
Yeah.
But it's a fun game. But it was still like, this is. I spent all this money to buy this game console and traded in my Genesis Tower of Power for this.
Yeah.
This is what I traded all that for. And then in Japan, they're getting all these amazing games, and we're getting like Clockwork Knights. We're getting creepy games. I mean, but it's like, we got shafted. We really got shafted in this country when it comes to that.
We did.
Before I forget, Dr. G sent me a couple that I forgot to mention for this.
Did he really, or are you making these up?
No, he did.
Okay.
One of the ones that he mentioned was Gyromite.
Gyromite! Yes.
Which, I mean, I guess you could call it a series with like Stack Up.
Stack Up, Gyromite, Stack Up.
Which actually he had Rob the Robot, and I remember as a kid playing Gyromite in his room, and sometimes you use a robot, but most of the time you're like, you know what, here's a controller, you control the whatever the towers going up and down on it, because that thing was just so slow.
Bro, that just finding that stupid robot, finding it broken is over $100.
Yeah.
Like, I literally just want one to put up on the shelf. I don't have any interest of ever getting it to work or anything like that. And just looking for one like that, it's still over $100.
Yeah.
You want one that's working. How many kidneys you got?
Yeah. Sadly, he I think gave his away a long time ago, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, because they're collector's items now. Because I said, people literally just want it just to put on their shelf so they can go and say, "There's my Rob the Robot" that I never ever use because there's no use for it.
The other one that he mentioned was the original Mario Brothers.
Ooh.
Which has definitely been kind of forgotten about.
Not Super Mario Brothers, the original Mario Brothers. Just to clarify, when you hear Mario Brothers, you think Super Mario Brothers, but this is like the arcade game that you play. Super Mario 3 had a version of it. It's only been re-released 100 million times.
Yeah, but you know what made it really good, and I'll agree with him, is that it was a co-op game, which were way back in the day in NES. Most two-player games were like, first person plays and dies, second person then plays.
Yeah.
So this automatically, gets a shoe-in for being a co-op game. So.
I thought about bringing that one on myself. I really like the original Mario Brothers to play with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's fun, and Mario 3, when you're fighting over who gets the credit for beating the level, like you get somebody to beat it, and then you can just go and say, "Oh, I'll just beat you in Mario Brothers" and take the credit. Which really didn't mean anything. It's all bragging rights.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever play Super Mario Brothers 2 2-player? Number one, for a long period of time, because it's not really a 2-player game. But if you did you ever actually play it where you were competitive with each other, or let's beat this game? Because that would be like, let's just work together and beat this game.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you can fight each other for credit over you can go to if somebody beat one of those stages, you can go onto that stage and you can click on it. And
no, you're talking about Mario 3. I thought you said Mario 2. Mario 3, I remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, Mario 3. Mario 2 never had. Mario 2 that'd be nice if it had something, but with 2-player, but never did.
I guess I had nice friends because we all like co-op.
Yeah, I think one time we did it just to try it, and then why would we do this? We're trying to beat the game. Why would we fight each other on this? Who cares? If anything, you help each other out. You're that's when stealing lives was a thing. It's just steal one of my lives.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We know you're going to die any second, but you know what? Just take it, and we'll continue together.
Yeah, like I got 30. You're down to nothing. Take mine.
We got 3 continues. We're on stage 3, so just let's wipe out all my lives on this stage and continue on the beginning of stage 4.
Or you play the one person who sucks at the game, but they're also an asshole, so they just take all your lives, and before you die one time, and you have no lives left because they took them all.
And then they're the ones that are left alive.
Yeah. And then they talk about and later on they're talking to your other friends and yeah, when I won, I beat that whole level all by myself. It's like, no, you didn't. I was there. They shut up, you loser. He wasn't there. I did it by myself. We were at my house. No, we weren't. We were at mine.
You played with Mike too, huh?
Yep. All right. So, any more to add? Anything else to add?
No, I think we're ready to wrap this one up.
Okay. Well,
ready for game over. I think we're on the last level and we're at the main boss.
So we still have. I still want to do a quick mix of mic ticks, which the 2 guests don't have to stick around for. And just a reminder, next week, watch us die. We're playing Unloved. If anyone wants to join in, it's actually just like $5 on Steam, but it plays up to 4. So we can.
So if anybody wants to join us next week to feel unloved, we're gonna we'll come here and insult you and put you down and.
That's the Ben way.
Yes, unloved. So
I do want to say thanks to Tron and to the Private for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This has been a great conversation. It's gone a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like I said, a supersized episode.
There we go. Yeah.
Going back to my private cave now.
All right. Cool.
No. Private.
And Ben, do you have enough time to stick around for me to do a mix of mic ticks, or do you want me to?
Oh no, go right ahead, dude. I'm whatever you need to do.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into that. Let me kind of take a second here to get set up.
I love when we do this segment, the how it does not the transcription always gets it wrong.
Yes, I know.
It's mixing mic sticks.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to give that little space, that little pause in there.
Yeah.
So because I noticed that too when I watched the recording.
It's okay, so we're gonna try this one more time, and we need you to do this announcement. You have the script. I do. I have the script. Okay, so this is Captain N, the Gay Master. No, Game Master. There are 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Captain N, the Gay Master. No.
All right, so here we go.
All right, let's do this.
So I'll go ahead and leave out the theme song because it doesn't seem like you add that to it. So I guess we don't need that.
I think I have all our theme songs for copyright purposes.
For copyright purposes?
Sure, if that makes you feel better.
No, it's okay. I'll go ahead and leave it out here. So for this mix and mic ticks, we are going to be talking about, when I can find the share screen option, Final Fantasy V.
Okay.
And what we're going to discuss here is an easy way to grind your jobs. Now, this is something that I believe may be well known, but as always, it's something that I found out just on my own. And I'm going to do more than just tell you, oh, just go to here and do this. I'm going to give you the tools so that you're doing it safely, effectively, and quickly. So for this is a mid-level tactic to level up your jobs, and there are some prerequisites. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get the Blue Mage job class, which I'm pretty sure is mandatory to get unless you're an idiot and you forget to pick up the job shard, or you're just a glutton for punishment and you're like, I want to make this game as hard as I can, so I'm not going to get this job, which would be pointless because you could just get the job and not use it. So the next thing is kind of an optional, but I highly recommend it, which is when you get the blue mage to, on all 4 characters, get the first level skill, which is going to be learning. Because that way you don't have to be stuck in the blue mage for the next step that you have to do. The next prerequisite for this, and sorry, Ben, I can't really show you these steps because I didn't want to spend 20 hours getting to this point when this just kind of came to my mind this morning.
Why not?
Well, because
you're not dedicated to this.
Life got in the way.
Oh, jeez.
I would have done it.
Woe is me. I have a job. My family's sick. Whatever.
So
Gets in the way if you're gaming. Gaming's more important.
So the next prerequisite for this is when you get to the Scholar's Library, which you should know what the Scholar's Library is when you actually see it, and you go down into the basement, you're looking for a specific monster in there. The monster is called page 64. Now there are, I think, page 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. If you know anything about the Scholar Library, when you fight them, it always starts with the first one and goes up the list until it gets to wherever the game wants to stop and then works its way back down the list. So you may not fight this one every battle, but when you do, this is where you're going to want to have either a blue mage on or learning on. Before you go in to fight this monster, you want to make sure that one of your characters, either your highest character, lowest character, or I guess if you want to do somewhere in the middle, if you don't like having your characters balanced, which drives me nuts, you want to make sure that they are on a multiple level of 5. So you'll probably be around like level 15, level 20, level 25. Make sure only one of them is on this level. The reason why is because page 64 casts a spell called, depending on what version you're playing, whether it's the Pixel Remaster, whether it's this Super NES version, PlayStation, it's either going to be, let's get to Blue Magic, either going to be level 5 Doom or level 5 Death. And you definitely want to get this spell at that point rather than waiting, because the next opportunity you have to get it will be past the earliest that you can use this job grinding location. So once you get that spell, actually maybe I should mention, an easy way to remember which one is going to cast level 5 Doom on you is to think of Nintendo systems. Nintendo never had a Nintendo 32, it never had a Nintendo 128 or 256, but there is a Nintendo 64. So just think of that to remember which one you need to wait to cast it on you. When you get that spell, your next step is, we're getting out of this menu. When you get that spell, your next step is then continuing with the game until you get to, and I'm going to give you some spoilers. So if you don't want to have this game spoiled for you, then good luck figuring this out for yourself, because there's no way around me without spoiling it. You want to get to this location, which is basically Gollif's Castle. And in Gollif's Castle, there's a location to the right where you can go downstairs. It's these steps right here. There is a save point right next to where you're going to go down to fight. This is important to know because you're probably going to pop up multiple times to save, because you don't want to be down there fighting and die and do all that grinding for no reason. When you go down these steps, there's only one monster in this small area that you'll encounter. And let me go ahead and get to fight their object d'arts. And these are them. And you're going to either see them in a group of 5 or a group of 2. If you beat them in a group of 2, they're going to give you 4 job points. If you beat them in a group of 5, they're going to give you 8 job points. You actually want to go for the bigger group, even though they're pretty tough monsters when you encounter them. You have to be careful because they also can stone you, which will prevent you from getting those job points. What you want to do, all you have to do is when you get to them, have your fastest character either be a blue mage or have the blue mage skill. And all you have to do is just cast level 5 death on them, or level 5 doom, and that wipes them completely out. Now, the best way to do this when you're leveling up is to take 2 characters and max them out in blue mage. And then take 2 characters and do like white mage with them, because if your characters aren't fast enough, they're going to get hit pretty hard. So you're going to want to have someone there to heal. And then just go up and heal yourself at the end, come back, keep working those 2 characters as they run out. The first one runs out of magic, switch the second one to cast a level 5 doom, heal yourself as is when needed, and then just go through as many job classes as you want. So if you're doing something like, let me bring the jobs here. So what you can do is something like the ninja and the dancer as one party that's set for blue magic, and then do something like, say, the samurai and the warrior and set them to white magic because they're going to be a lot slower. The benefit with maxing out your jobs is that your main job is super powerful compared to anything else that you're going to see out here, because they have the higher stats. They have the ability to choose a couple of job tasks that they can do, and they can equip anything. So you're not stuck with somebody who's going to have just like staves, or you're not stuck with somebody who's just going to have arrows. And you can keep coming back to this location throughout the game when you get new jobs, and just grind those jobs up as well too. So that's the easiest way to do it. The safest way to do it, just stick by the stairs. There is an inn inside this castle that's not too far from the location downstairs. It's just one door over right here. So you can just go back, heal, get all your blue magic points back, go back to that spot, work those 2 characters until they run out of magic, come back to this inn, save it up, and go back. And actually, it shouldn't take too long to get your jobs boosted up that way. So that's everything you need to know about leveling up the jobs in Final Fantasy V. And I'm sure Tron may have some advice as well too, maybe.
No, I'm not. I'm in the middle of Final Fantasy V, but I actually don't have too much to add to this one.
Have you gotten to the location I'm talking about?
No. Nope.
Okay, so I may have spoiled
Of course, everybody knows that
it's fine.
The best Final Fantasy game is, of course, Final Fantasy VIII. That's like without a question. So,
no, I'm not gonna. Never mind.
You're not gonna take the bait. No, come on, it's right there. It's very, very.
No,
tasty.
well, because honestly, again, I'm talking about that water again. I'm biased because 7 is again one that blew my mind. But for what it's worth, even though I haven't finished, I got to play it. From what I know, 8's a pretty good game. So
right,
I'm not gonna knock that.
Hold this conversation for 1 second, because I do have a very important question for Tron.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing what I just showed you,
mm-hmm.
Is this something that will benefit you with leveling up your jobs? Does it make sense, and is it something that will benefit you?
I mean, I'll definitely try to make sure I keep level 5 Doom around. I mean, yeah. So that's what I gathered. Level 5 Doom, Stony guys. You got it.
Yep. And you get the level 5 Doom from?
Oh, I forgot that part.
Page 64.
All right.
So.
All right.
Yeah. So hopefully
fun. All right. We ready to take this home?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go. Yeah, it's time to call it. So thanks for tuning in.
And just
And
remember, a winner is you.
Yep.
Yes, there is you.